Taped from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
Hey, Darren. What's going on?
Hey, John. Hey, how's it going? Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
I
don't know. I got nothing.
Have we officially run out of witty opening banter and things to say?
Like After we're on episode 203 right now. Do we have anything else left to say to each other? I don't know. Our lives aren't that interesting. I mean, Before we start recording, you were telling me about repairing your refrigerator.
Yeah.
Actually, it's worse. I asked you about repairing your refrigerator because last week before the show, you told me about the troubles you were having with your refrigerator. And so, like, when we started talking, I was like, oh, hey, what happened with your refrigerator? Give me an update on that. Yeah. That's where our level of conversation is at now.
Yeah, I really left you in a cliffhanger there. You were.
I was just like, I hope none of Darren's food is spoiled. I mean,
oh my God, what's going to happen to the yogurt?
They just went grocery shopping when they had those troubles. Did you have to throw out a lot of food? We didn't get to that.
I actually did. I had to throw out like a few things, but not too much because I make all the buku bucks from podcasting here. I can afford to toss a few mochi ice creams and some yogurt out.
Wait, you're getting money?
I'm living. Yeah, I'm living high. I got yogurt money. Yeah, I'm living high on the hog.
You're getting money from this podcast though?
I'm sorry.
Okay, we're going to talk about that a little off air.
Frank, I'm sorry. I know you told me not to tell him anything. That's my fault.
Okay. Now it comes out 4 years later.
Oh boy.
Now truth comes out. All right.
Oh.
Well,
this is awkward. This is exactly how NWA broke up.
Yep.
Oh.
So yeah, speaking of doing weird things for money, this week we're covering the movie Fletch, the 1985 movie with Chevy Chase. We thought it would be a good one to do this because there's going to be a new Fletch movie that's about to come out on September 16th. Confess Fletch, which is adapting the second novel in the series, is coming out, starring Mr. John Hamm from Mad Men.
Yes, handsome John Hamm, big John Hamm.
John Hamm. And, watch the trailer a few times. Looks pretty good. Looking forward to that. And so we decided it might be a good time to go back and revisit the OG Fletch movie.
So we're going to talk about Fletch. Came out May 31st, 1985. Written by Andrew Bergman, the man who wrote such things as Blazing Saddles and Oh God, You Devil. And apparently he wrote and directed some classic films like Honeymoon in Vegas.
Didn't he do the movie The Freshman with Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick? I think that's one of his, right?
He did do that, yes. He also wrote and directed Striptease with Demi Moore and Honeymoon in Vegas with Nick Cage and SJP. And this film was directed by Michael Ritchie, who you might know as the man who gave us The Bad News Bears and Wildcats, and of course our favorite Jamaican bobsled team film, Cool Runnings. And
diverse filmography there.
Yeah, and as far as SNL connections, he directed The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy and The Couch Trip with Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, well, look at that. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this also based on a novel by Gregory McDonald. There's actually a series of Fletch books. There are 11 in all, I believe. And I actually got a little curious about what the novel Fletch was like. So I ended up borrowing the first 3 books from my library. They're pretty quick reads. And I enjoyed them. It was interesting to get a feel for what Fletch was like as a literary character. The first novel was written in 1974. And then he followed up every couple years after that. And then he wrote them like well into the 80s. I think the last couple he wrote in the early 90s. So,
okay, yeah. Like I remember actually reading a few of these books just because I had like a phase where I was just really into like mystery novels and detective sleuth stuff. And I had heard about Fletch. I knew there was like a whole sort of fandom around it. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
let me see if I can get into this Fletch. So yeah,
Yeah.
like I think over
I
the
didn't
first
realize
few
you'd
books.
read them as well. Okay.
I,
All
I mean,
right.
it
Well,
was
that's
years
cool.
ago. Like I would say
Yeah.
maybe high school or something. Like it was
Oh, okay.
a it was yeah. I haven't read Fletch recently, but I remember reading it and really liking it, really enjoying it. Like I like the fact that he's actually a reporter for the L.A. Times.
Yeah.
Always kind of I thought was an interesting take because the way he sort of acts in all these mysteries, he feels like he's like a private eye, like a detective, but he's like totally
Yeah.
not.
Well, I mean, he's an investigative reporter, so there's a bit of crossover there, and he knows how to like poke around and find out information. And I mean, that's the thing in the books, especially, is he knows how to kind of get people to tell him information, but they don't really know or they don't really realize he's poking for information. And towards the end of the first book, one of the characters says to him, he was like, "I had no idea I was being investigated this last week," and he's just like really, really good at his job. And it's interesting in the books. I mean, he does a little legwork, and he goes in person to a few places, but a lot of this stuff he just does over the phone, and he'll just
Mm.
like call up somebody and be like, "Hey, I'm from this insurance company. I'm just getting this little information." And of course, it's a lot easier to pull off these scams over the phone. Of course, that works a lot better in a novel than it does in a movie. In a movie, you want to see people, run around and go places. So it kind of evolved into Chevy Chase putting on disguises and pretending to be people, which doesn't really make as much sense, but it's funnier.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely funny, but yeah, that does make sense now that you mention it. Where like a lot of the stuff he was doing, I was like, well, would it make more sense just do this over the phone? Whereas,
Yeah,
like, if you get caught, you can always just hang up and leave and whatnot.
yeah.
But yeah, like cinematically, like I don't know if a movie full of nothing but phone calls is enough to really capture the audience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like at one point in this movie, he flies off to Utah. Actually, a couple points in this movie, he flies off to Utah, and both times I'm just like, "Do you really need to fly to Utah? I don't think you do. This could easily have been a phone call, and I don't know why your editor's paying for this." But
Yeah, like yeah, that part really threw me. Where he just told his editor, you know, like who seemed, I guess, like if he was a private eye, it would have been like the chief of police, but it was the editor, and they'd be like, yeah, like the story's out in Utah. I got to go to Provo, and I guess back then, newspapers had the bucks just to fly out a reporter to Provo, Utah, just like that
yeah, and
on
then
a
he
whim for
just
a story.
goes and he has a conversation with a couple on their front porch, and it's like, yeah, this easily could have been a phone call. There
Could
was
have been,
nothing
yeah.
about this that required you being here, but except Chevy Chase doing some shtick. But yeah, it's interesting. The author Gregory McDonald, he had casting approval apparently, so he did approve the choice of Chevy Chase to
Oh,
play his character Fletch, and there were some other interesting candidates that were discussed at some point. Some people I can see as the character from the book, and others not so much.
got it.
um,
Okay.
like they talked about let's see, Jeff Bridges, Richard Dreyfuss, Charles
Mm.
Grodin said he considered. Apparently, the studio wanted uh, discuss Mick Jagger at one point,
What?
which, yeah,
That
you know, I,
is that is out of
that's
left field.
yeah, that is insane. Let me see. Uh, McDonald, he vetoed Mick Jagger. He also vetoed Burt Reynolds. Um,
Yeah, I could
he,
see
he
that. Yeah,
agreed
Burt
with Chevy
Reynolds.
Chase.
Yeah.
He had never seen Chevy Chase perform. Um, let's see. Barry Bostwick was considered. George
Mm.
Siegel turned it down.
Mm.
Uh, and it says, I think this is the producer. It says Burroughs wanted Richard Dreyfuss, which that's an interesting choice.
I could
Um,
see that. I could see that. I could definitely see that more than Mick Jagger. Like
I can see most Mick Jagger. I
yeah,
mean,
because like I think Richard Dreyfuss. I mean, he's a little bit older, but like in his younger days, he had that sort of. He was like a little bit charming, and he could also be snide and
Yeah, no,
snarky at times.
I
Like if you ever saw like the
Richard
Goodbye Girl, like he could be,
because yeah, oh yeah, he won an Oscar for The Goodbye Girl, and he could do that sort of fast talking sort of thing. I mean, if you were going in a more serious direction, I think Richard Dreyfuss would be a great way to go. And actually, I mean, when I was reading the books, and I ended up reading the first three books over the course of about a week. They're like really quick reads. I was able to polish each one off in about a day. Um, I was kind of picturing Jason Sudeikis would actually be a pretty good Fletch. I think he would
mm,
be in his wheelhouse. And Sudeikis was one of the people who was considered in the last few years when they've been trying to get the Fletch uh, franchise going again. It's like it's interesting how it's bounced around in the years because they did this movie in 1985. They did a sequel, Fletch Lives, in 1989, which isn't based on anything from the books. I understand it's just
oh,
an original story, and I don't
yikes.
think that did so hot because they didn't do any more Fletch movies after that. Um,
Yeah, like yeah, like as you said, like because I mean, the first Fletch movie actually did quite well. It had like a budget of, let me see, like a budget of 8 mil, and it made about 59 mil. So it made money. So like the fact that they just shelved the whole thing after one bad film was interesting. You would think that
yeah,
even after maybe a year or so, they would have like retooled it, used one of the books as a basis
yeah.
for a screenplay, and then just made another one.
Well, it just seems foolish when you have like 10 more books to use for material that you just throw all that out and you just try to do an original story. That just seems a foolish way to do it. And even if you're going to do a loose adaptation, and I would say the first movie is kind of a loose adaptation of the first book.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there's been an interesting list of people who've tried to do it. Like Kevin Smith is apparently a big Fletch fan, and he was at first thinking about doing a sequel with Chevy Chase. I think this was sometime
Right.
in the 2000s, and then apparently he and Chevy Chase didn't get along. Shocker. Um,
What?
and then Kevin Smith was talking about doing it with Jason Lee, but the studio was like, Jason Lee has no box office potential. And
Mm.
then they were considering Ben Affleck. It says Smith was considering another list of actors, including Affleck, Brad Pitt, and Jimmy Fallon. I can't see Jimmy Fallon doing
Jimmy
Fletch.
Fallon.
Yeah. They
No.
discussed Zach Braff for the role, and then Bill
Uh,
Lawrence, who's the creator of Scrubs, was trying to do it for a while, and he was considering doing it with Zach Braff.
mm,
Um,
maybe, but I don't know.
let's see. Uh, then, like a guy named David List, who represents the McDonald estate, stepped in with his own draft, which proved attractive enough to engage Jason Sudeikis in the title role. Um, and then it looks like the studio went bankrupt. And so now they finally made it with Greg Mottola and John Hamm in the lead. And Greg Mottola, he's the guy who directed Superbad and Adventureland and some other movies. I haven't seen any of his movies in a while, but I'm looking forward to seeing the revival of Fletch. I think that'll be interesting to see and take another shot at it.
Yeah, like I mean, again, it still surprised me that it took this long to for another Fletch movie to come out. I mean, it's almost like all the trials and tribulation it took to make a new Superman movie come out. It's almost like that same type of trajectory where there's just so many starts and stops. And like you said, I remember Kevin Smith mentioning years ago, like I guess in the early aughts, like how he's a big Fletch fan and he really wanted to get Fletch going, but I guess that just sort of fell by the wayside and didn't pan out. But yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is interesting how something like that where people know there's a hunger, people do enjoy Fletch books and there is a fan base for it, but for some reason it just hasn't come together up until
yeah.
now. So like I don't know. Hopefully we'll see how it happens and see how it
Yeah, I
flies.
mean, I can kind of see it, why it's fallen by the wayside a bit the last few years because uh, um, Gregory McDonald's unfortunately passed away, and so there aren't doing any more Fletch books. So it's probably fallen a little by the wayside the last 20 years. I would say there's a generation of people who probably don't really remember Fletch either as a book or as a movie.
Mm,
But it is still a bit of a cult movie. So yeah, so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they can make more of a go of it this time. It's interesting as a vehicle for Chevy Chase. This is apparently one of Chevy Chase's favorite roles that he's ever done. So,
Okay.
and I think it's a pretty decent fit for him. They could have done worse. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Like the book Fletch is a little more hard boiled and cynical than Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is, of course, playing it like lighter and more sarcastic. I mean,
Right.
book Fletch is sarcastic, but it's got more of a bite to it. When I was reading the first book, I was like, I don't know if I like Fletch very much. He's kind of an ass. And then I liked him a little more by the second book.
Okay.
But the story's got a really good hook. It starts out, Fletch, he's an investigative reporter. He's hanging out on the beach. He's working on this story about drug dealing on the beach, and so he's just been hanging out on the beach, pretending that he's an addict and like buying drugs off the dealer there, and he's trying to get to the bottom of how this guy's getting his supplies. And then he's approached by this rich guy, Alan Stanwyck, who's played by Tim Matheson,
That's right.
and
Otter.
he's like, I have an offer for you. We can't discuss it here, but I will give you $1,000 just for listening. So Fletch is intrigued. He goes with this guy. They end up going to this guy's mansion, and then Stanwyck says, "I want to hire you to kill me in like a week's time. I've got this terminal form of bone cancer. I don't want to suffer through that. I can't commit suicide because then my family wouldn't get my insurance payoff. So I need to be murdered, and I want you to murder me." And
Right. And
Fletch
he goes on to
just says,
say, like,
"Sure."
yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think he goes on to say that, yeah, like, you just cut. I have it all planned out. You come in, you take this revolver out of the top drawer of my desk. You shoot
yeah,
me. My safe will be open. There's 50,000 in it. Take that. Go to the airport. There's a ticket in your name to go to Rio, and you just go there until the heat dies down and
yeah,
lay low.
yeah.
So I mean,
They did get rid of a thing in the book where, like, originally Stanwyck offers him $25,000 for it, and then Fletch talks him up to 50,000 because he wants to gauge how serious the guy is. And in the movie, it's just flat out $50,000 offer, and I was just like, oh, why'd they get rid of that? That would have been cool, but maybe $25,000 wasn't as impressive by the time they made the movie. They're making the movie about 10 years after the book, so.
yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
but so this, of course, intrigues Fletch, so he decides to start investigating the guy on his own time, even though his editor is on his case about the drug story. And as you might expect, uh, the two stories kind of converge over the
Yeah,
course of the movie. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and actually, we should also mention. So one of the people who he sort of befriends, one of the drug
mhm.
dealers at is a man named Fat Sam, played by the great
Yeah,
George Wendt.
George Wendt. Totally forgotten that George Wendt was in this movie. By the way, George Wendt, Jason Sudeikis' uncle.
Hmm.
So that's kind of cool. Other sort of SNL connection there. And yeah, because this movie is like 85, so George Wendt would have been doing Cheers. It's neat seeing him in kind of a bit part. He has maybe like 3 scenes in the movie, I think. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
absolutely.
but it's very cool seeing George Wendt do a character role like that. It's just like, man, I wish George Wendt had gotten to do more of that stuff in his career.
Yeah,
I don't
same.
know if he really needs to. He's got all the Cheers money. I hope he's still taken care of from that. But
Yes. Hope he's well compensated.
exactly. I mean, I just hope George Wendt is living his best life, basically.
And yeah, another person, famous person who I forgot was in this. The person who, I believe Larry, who's played by Gina Davis, who is sort of Fletch's right hand man over at the newspaper.
Yeah, she's just kind of his sidekick, and she's like the sun rises and sets behind Fletch. Which is really interesting. There wasn't really an equivalent character in the book. Like in the first book, he has an editor who he hates because his editor is sleeping with the managing editor, and Fletch is like, "Oh, you're incompetent at your job," and it's really rather. It hasn't aged that great. It's kind of misogynistic. It
Oh
was like,
boy.
well, this probably flew a bit more in 1974. Like I said, Book Fletch can be kind of an asshole at times. Um,
Oh boy.
movie Fletch also, he's got an ex-wife that he's not paying alimony to. Book Fletch has two ex-wives that he's not paying alimony to,
Oh
and it's
damn.
much more money. Um, he is dodging like thousands of dollars in alimony from
Wow.
both of these. Um,
So Fletch in the book is a deadbeat, is what you're saying.
yeah, pretty much.
Oh boy.
He also, Book Fletch he's had some military service. He won the Bronze Star. We don't know what for, but we know that he never picked up his Bronze Star, and he doesn't seem to want to. Like a couple of people are like, "Hey, you should go pick up that Bronze Star," and he's like, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." And we never really get the full story behind that, or at least we don't in the first few books, and we don't know what's going on there. But it's an intriguing little mystery in his past.
Interesting.
So yeah, Fletch. Yeah, so he's investigating this story. He's investigating the Stanwyck story. He's also trying to get to the bottom of the drug story. Joe Don Baker plays the chief of police.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Joe Don Baker was in this, but Joe Don Baker was in a lot of stuff in the 70s and 80s. He's just like character actor you've seen all over the place. I mean, if you're a Mystery Science Theater fan, he's Mitchell.
Of
Um,
course.
he's in the James Bond film, The Living Daylights, and Goldeneye as different characters. He's in the remake of Cape Fear. He's the private detective in that. So yeah, good character actor, Joe Don Baker.
Yeah, yeah. Like I thought he was good. He plays the corrupt police chief, and I thought the scenes with him and Chevy Chase I thought were really strong as well.
Yeah, yeah. We see Chevy Chase. He gets arrested and taken to the chief's office at one point, and yeah, there's also there's a lot of Chevy Chase like putting on disguises, doing various characters. He goes undercover at a doctor's office to try and find out about Alan Stanwyck's insurance and health information. So he's like rifling through the files, and he kind of goes. He gets a physical from Alan's doctor, and then he
Yes.
goes undercover with the doctor at the hospital to try and pull Alan's files.
Yeah,
And
he
he
gets
of
a
course
finger up the butt.
he gets checked for stuff, and then he ends up subbing in an autopsy because apparently you just call in some random doctor in the hall to help you out with an autopsy.
Hey, you come here.
Yeah, you're in scrubs, therefore you're qualified to help me in this autopsy. Um,
It's not Halloween, so get in here.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. I mean, he's in disguises a lot. There's even a dream sequence where he imagines himself as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, that what was that
Uh,
about? That was a little weird.
that's so random. It's so random. I mean, I,
I
look, I'm just glad that Chevy Chase wasn't in blackface.
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
we dodged that bullet.
it was very close. You could tell it was very.
They
I'm sure.
tanned him up. They tanned him up. You can tell that, but it doesn't really go to the point of blackface. He's in
Yeah, I
a
think.
fake. Show.
Yeah,
Um,
I think like somebody in production had the foresight to be like, you know what? Let's not go full blackface just in case it doesn't play off quite right.
just in case it's not 1985 for the
Yeah,
rest of time,
yeah.
let's not do blackface.
Let's hedge our bets here.
Yeah,
But yeah,
because
I mean that dream. Yeah, but that
1985 is a possibility.
yeah, very much. But yeah, that dream sequence really came out of nowhere. It's just like I don't know. Part of me kind of thinks that like I don't know. Part of me thinks like maybe somebody, maybe like one of the producers was like, all right, this because the film there is a lot of talking and a lot of
Yeah,
detective work, and it's
yeah,
a lot of Chevy Chase being like a lot of very dry humor, almost Kevin Nealon esque, some might say.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
part of me might think this is their way of putting in some comedy into it, some levity, because it did feel a little shoehorned, where he just had the dream
yeah,
sequence that he plays for the Lakers, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is talking him up, And it's just like, well,
Right.
what does this
And,
have to
and
do with
it's
the
the real
film?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar who does a cameo, and then he like falls asleep in front of the Laker game, and he imagines himself as
That's right.
well. He's not really Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he's sort of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's him with an afro, and they say like he's 6'5" with afro 6'9". Ha ha
Haha.
ha.
He grew up in
Um,
Harlem. Haha.
Apparently, there were a couple other dream sequences though. There was a thing where he imagines that he's playing for the Dodgers and Tommy Lasorda had a cameo, and there was a thing where he was a hockey player, and I don't know if that was a dream sequence. I'm assuming it was, but they cut those out of the film.
Okay.
So
But yeah, I mean, it's
yeah,
just like, I don't know. Yeah, it just, I mean, they're interesting, but it just seems like stuff that just put in there just for, shits and giggles. Like it doesn't really add
yeah,
anything to the plot or the story at all. It's just more like, hey, here's Chevy Chase dressed as in an afro. That's hilarious, right? You know,
yeah,
I don't know. Like I kind of felt like there were a few points where they just kind of put in things just to sort of, maybe pick up the pace a little bit or make it more of a standard action mystery
oh yeah. I
type of
mean,
film. I mean, the
there's
car
a car
chase.
chase in the middle of the film that just really comes out of nowhere. Like the cops are after Fletch for vague reasons.
Yeah, why did they chase him? I don't like. I know he went back home, and then he like looked in the basement of his apartment, and he saw cop
Right.
cars, and he got freaked out and he ran off, and then the cops just chased him. So I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what were they doing there? Were they about to
I don't
whack
know.
him?
I'm still not clear on that. Was that after he talked to the chief? It's getting
Yes.
a little. I watched this like a couple days ago, so it's a little vague in my memory now. But
But yeah, it
okay,
was.
so I guess
Yeah,
I could send those guys after him
I guess
because he
so.
was like,
Yeah.
"Fletch on to me. I'd better have." What were the cops? Were the cops trying to arrest him? Were they trying to murder him? I don't know. But there's this huge car chase that comes out of nowhere. Fletch, he like parks his car and he goes up to this young guy in a car and he like bullshits his way into driving his car because he's like, oh, we have to check your exhaust. And then they get on the highway and there's this big chase and then Fletch, he ends up dumping the car and he goes to like this awards banquet for veterans or something.
Yeah.
And it's an honor of a guy named Fred Dorfman. And the character Fred Dorfman comes from Animal House because it's the older brother of Kent Dorfman, Flounder.
Oh, nice.
And that's why they have to accept Flounder because he's a legacy, you know. He's automatically in, unless the legacy in question is a major closet case, like
Hmm.
Fred. Um, I'm
Okay.
quoting from the movie, not
Got it.
doing any. But it's funny on the DVD I borrowed from my library. There's an interview with Tim Matheson, and they point that out to him, and he was like, "Oh wow, I don't think I even knew that at the time. That's funny." So, I mean, because Tim Matheson is not in those scenes, so why would he remember that? And he probably hasn't seen the movie in a couple dozen years. But
Yeah, he's not in the movie a ton actually.
no, he doesn't. I remembered more Tim Matheson in this movie, but he's really just at the beginning and the end, and then it's just a lot of Fletch investigating Tim Matheson's character.
Yeah.
Um,
And then we see that little bit of him where Fletch follows him and he finds out that him and the police chief are in cahoots, as they
yeah,
say.
yeah, which is different from the book. It's the book ends very differently from the movie. I would say
Oh, really?
the two those two plot strands they kind of converge, but they converge in a different way. I mean, I can go into it if you want to go into spoilers for a 1974 novel, but
Okay.
but or we can just leave it. Your call.
No, go for it. Let's do it.
Okay, well, so in the movie, yeah, Fletch discovers that the police chief and Alan Stanwyck are in cahoots for some reason with the drugs. I don't know why they're in cahoots together. It's not they don't really get into that. And Stanwyck the reason he picked Fletch at the beach is because he's planning to actually murder Fletch. He's going to trick Fletch into breaking into his house, and then he's going to murder him, and then he's going to put Fletch in his car and then burn his corpse, and because they have similar bone structure. So, and then he's going to put
Right.
like his class ring and his gold lighter on him, and everyone will think that it's Alan Stanwyck, and then Alan Stanwyck can skip the country. So I guess he's skipping the country with all his drug money.
Right.
Um,
And his wife, who he was secretly
yes,
married to in Provo.
he's and that's a little similar to the book. Like in the book, we find out that he's not married to someone else, but he has his old high school girlfriend that he's planning to run away with. Um, and he's planning to like do that under an assumed identity. Um, and then this all comes out like on the night that Fletch is supposed to murder him at his mansion, and then he's shot by the police chief, because the police chief thinks that Alan Stanwyck is Fletch, because Stanwyck has already like dyed his hair to look like Fletch. He's going to go off on the plane trip under Fletch's name. So that's a
Right.
little different. They aren't in cahoots, but like I said, the plot threads do kind of converge. The book has a better plot. I mean, it definitely makes more sense. I mean, it's a more complicated plot, so I kind of see why they simplified it a bit. But yeah, the book is absolutely better. And it also has a very clever ending, because Fletch in the book, he kind of gets away. In the book, like all this stuff is kind of converging at once. He has to make a court appearance for his non-payment of alimony for his first ex-wife. At the same time, he has to make a court appearance for non-payment alimony for his second ex-wife. He he's also supposed to pick up his Bronze Star at the same time, and he's and Fletch very cleverly he does all this stuff, and he basically skips the country for all this stuff. So he dodges the bullet. He also gets one of his ex-wife's lawyers in trouble because he makes it look like his lawyer aided and abetted a fugitive.
Good Lord.
And he also gets away with $3 million of Stanwyck's money. So
Good. He's a
yeah,
slippery
yeah,
character.
yeah. He's I mean, and it's like I said, it's very clever how all the plot threads come together. And but you're also just kind of like, oh yeah, Fletch is kind of a dick. Um,
Yeah, yeah, he is.
he does sleep with Alan Stanwyck's wife in both the book and the movie, and that is partly how he figures it out, because his wife, Stanwyck's wife, comments like, "Oh yeah, you have a very similar bone structure to my husband." You know, she's like, "I guess I have a type." So that's kind of how he figures it out. Yeah, it's kind of a clever planting of clues. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you like the movie? Did it work for you?
I did like the movie, but I will admit, like, how can I say this? Depending on how much you like Chevy Chase, well, I think will
Yeah.
will vary whether how much you like this movie. I'll say because
Yes, I think that's a good way to put it.
yeah,
This movie kind of tests the upper limits of how much Chevy Chase you can take.
yeah,
Um,
because like I mean he's in every scene.
yeah,
Um, he doesn't really have anybody else to bounce off to. Well, because while everybody else does a fine job in the film, it's
yeah,
pretty much the Chevy Chase show. Like he has all the best lines, and he has
yeah,
like the best kind of the most energy, and like everybody else. I don't want to say is just there to for him to bounce lines off of, but sometimes it kind of
no,
feels
I
like
think
that.
that's fair. I think that's fair.
Uh,
I totally see why this is one of Chevy Chase's favorite movies that he's done, because yeah, he is like, it's his dream role, because he's like the coolest, funniest, wittiest guy in every single scene.
yeah,
And
that's exactly. Like there's no second banana for him to sort of
yeah,
riff with or anything. It's literally just him riffing and showing up in disguises and saying all
yeah,
these quips and whatnot. So like
yeah,
if that's your bag, you'll like Fletch. I do like his his
yeah,
sort of casual play by his own rules type of vibe like that. I don't know, like most detectives have that always intrigues me.
yeah,
But yeah, but for the most part, it's like it is the Chevy Chase show. Like I said, like
Yeah,
it's pretty much
and
his ball game.
yeah, and for me, like a little Chevy goes a long, long way because he does fall into like his regular shticks. Like even on the IMDb trivia page, it says like at one point he tells a beach drifter in one scene he feels like $100. Apparently, he also used that line in Caddyshack. So
Ah,
it's just so Chevy just has his regular shtick that he does from movie to movie that he just carries with him. And he has another bit where he checks his watch, but he doesn't have a watch on the wrist. Like ha ha ha.
right.
Oh,
Yes, I
check.
have seen that.
And he does
Yeah.
that in another couple of his movies too. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
I don't know. With Chevy Chase, I always get the feeling like he thinks like, "Oh, I'm so funny. I'm killing this. I am so witty. I'm so cool. I'm so," and that gets a little hard to take after a while.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a lot
Yeah.
of yeah. I'm the coolest dude in the room, but everybody else in the room is like, yeah, he's all right. He's
Well, I
fine.
feel like everybody else in life is like, yeah, he's all right, and like too many people in this movie are like, oh yeah, you're the coolest guy in the room. I don't.
You're so
I never
cool,
get the.
Chef.
He's never quite as cool and as funny as he seems to think he is. You
Yeah.
know,
See,
like Bill Murray, you get that sort of quality from him too. But Bill Murray generally is the coolest and the funniest guy in the room. Chevy Chase just kind of thinks he is, and he's
yeah,
like 75% there. You know,
yeah, exactly. Medium talent.
medium talent, medium talent.
Oh
The
god.
best, most accurate insult of anyone ever.
Oh
Um,
my god. It's poetry. It's two words.
yes, it is.
It's 2 words and it's poetry.
Also, this movie, it's got like one of the most 1980s film scores ever.
Yeah. Let's talk about the
Like if
music in this thing.
okay, if you like hearing this, just imagine that played over and over and over for like an hour and a half or however long this movie is. Um,
Yeah, because I mean
yeah,
we've said it before. Especially movies in the '80s, they all had to have their own theme song. Like this
right.
one has the song "Bit by Bit" by Stephanie Mills that they play in the
Yeah,
beginning, at the end, and then they always have the synthesizer Fletch theme throughout the entire movie. Which part of me thinks, yeah,
and they just play it ad infinitum. That's like the entire score. It's like 5 minutes of score just repeated over and over and over.
dude, I swear, like the producers of this film was like, "Oh, we want our own Axel Foley
Yeah.
synthesizer song to play throughout our movie." Like they wanted something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was made by the same guy.
What is it with the 1980s too, where it's like keyboards went extinct in like 1979 and then they didn't come back until like 1990 or so. So it's like it was all synthesizers with just like all other instruments went away, and it's such a weird thing that just immediately places your movie score in the 1980s. It dates it so hard. It's
It really
hilarious.
does. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the '80s was the golden age of the synthesizer, and I would say synthesizers and saxophones. I remember there being like a lot of
Yeah.
saxophone solos in '80s songs, which I always, I still believe, of course, which I
Sure,
always
sure.
love.
I mean, a little saxophone can go a long way too. It's like the Chevy Chase of instruments. You know, saxophones are fine. I enjoy a little saxophone. Too
I
much, it
hear you.
starts to sound a little porny.
Uh, haha.
So
I see.
I'm just
Oh, why?
you know,
Yeah.
and not that that's necessarily a bad thing. That's fine in its place and time, but you don't necessarily want every single soundtrack to sound porny.
Yeah, John, I'm looking this up right now. So the person who made that Fletch theme song, the dee 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 dee,
Yeah,
that was Harold Faltermeyer, and he
right.
is in fact the same man that did the Axel Foley theme song for Beverly Hills Cop.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, well, we're getting to the bottom of this. Wow.
he also composed the Top Gun anthem for Top Gun.
I don't
So
remember
he's
the Top Gun anthem. Is
me
how
neither. I
does
just
that go?
remember Kenny Loggins. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, all I remember from that movie is "Highway to the Danger Zone" and "Take My Breath Away." Those are
Yeah.
like the only two songs in that movie.
That and shirtless dudes playing volleyball. That's all I remember.
Exactly. You just like oiled up, sweaty guys. Did you see the new Top Gun? I didn't.
I did not, but I hear very good things about it.
People are just rhapsodic about that movie. They're just like, oh my god! I don't know if it's just like they're really starved for seeing movies in the theater or something. And I'm just like, really? I don't know. It just didn't look interesting to me. But
I
Tom Cruise is a for me. So
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like, I mean, I saw the first Top Gun years ago. I thought it was all right. But
yeah.
no, people are saying, from what I've heard, people I know whose opinion I respect, they're saying, yeah, no, the second one is really good. It might even be better than the first. And like
Okay.
and I know this second one has actually made a ton of money. It actually did really well at the box office, but I haven't
Mm,
seen it.
okay. Okay.
But maybe I'll
Um,
check it out.
did you have like a favorite character or disguise that Fletch did in the movie? Because he
Hmm.
goes through like a lot of different characters. Most of them have like horribly obvious names. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like, I mean, I know it's a comedy, but it's just like, hi, I'm Jonathan Fake Name. I mean, he identifies himself as Harry S. Truman at one point. He calls
Yeah.
himself Don Corleone in another scene.
Mr.
Uh,
Babar.
Mr. Babard, like the elephant, when
Yeah,
he's when
I
he's
was gonna actually ask you that. Was that part of the books too?
no, I mean the fake names aren't nearly as obvious in the books. In one scene where he goes to the country club to interview Stanwyck's wife and his father-in-law, he does use a fake name, and he kind of keeps switching it slightly to so it doesn't stick in their memory, which is kind of clever.
Mm,
Um, like at one point they get it wrong, which kind of confirms to him that he's not being too memorable because he doesn't want to be too memorable.
right.
Um, so, so I mean, yeah, it's a cleverer bit in the book, and in the movie, it's just kind of being, it's just Chevy Chase's shtick.
Yeah, I
I'm
think at
seeing a
one
quote
point.
from the Ebert review. It says. The central performance is an anthology of Chevy Chase mannerisms in search of a character, and I think that puts it pretty well. Yeah,
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think at
yeah,
one point, like when he's undercover as a doctor, one of the nurses
yeah.
asks him who he is, and he says, "Oh, I'm Doctor Rosenpenis," and she's like,
Yeah,
"What?"
he sees a sign with all the doctors' names, and they're all like Rosen something, like Rosenkrantz or Rosenstein, or yeah. So he just says, "I'm Rosenpenis," and it's like, okay. I mean, come on, you have to come up with a fake name that's going to fool somebody for at least 2 seconds, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
I
I
don't
think
know.
that's what I think Chevy was trying to make a joke first before actually making it, like a believable thing he was trying
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. I mean, it's you cast Chevy Chase, he's going to Chevy Chase it up.
Hmm.
I probably found
Chevy
this a
gun.
lot funnier when I was 12. You know?
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, as far as all the, disguises he put on and whatnot, I thought the one that was really interesting was when he dressed up as like that roller skating. I don't know what you'd call
Guru.
it, but he had.
Yeah, yeah. He's got like a fake beard, a sort of bald head, and he's in like robes. Yeah, he looks like a guru of some kind.
Yeah, exactly, like the love guru on roller skates. But yeah, I
Right.
thought that was a pretty cool look.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the best actual disguise
Mm.
that he has because most of them it's like, oh, you're just Chevy Chase in a hat. Um, and, uh, he does have like a wig and false teeth when he's like this jet engine repairman.
Oh
And Chevy
yes.
Chase apparently said that he used the fake teeth while in public, and most people didn't recognize him, which I find very tough to believe because
What?
in the movie he just looks like Chevy Chase with fake teeth. He doesn't
Yeah,
he
that.
doesn't look anything not unlike Chevy Chase.
I mean, yeah. I mean, do they think it's like Clark Kent when he puts on glasses, like they can't tell he's Superman? That's
I don't know. I
I don't
don't know.
I don't see how people can you not recognize him. And he's pretty tall and he's pretty
Yeah,
recognizable.
and he's a pretty distinctive looking guy. I mean, maybe it's just most people didn't want to talk to you, Chevy Chase. maybe, maybe they're just like, oh, that's Chevy Chase. Let's go to the other side of the street. By the way, this movie continues that weird thing that I've noticed in Chevy Chase movies of like Chevy Chase sex god thing, where like all the women want to sleep with Chevy Chase, which
Yes,
I feel like
yes,
writer in his contract, at this point.
yes. If you look at his rider, it says in bold print, I got to bone somebody in this thing.
And every woman in this movie must be desperate to sleep with me and act
Right.
like I'm because they're acting like he's freaking George Clooney or Brad Pitt or something. Like if women were reacting to John Hamm like this, I would totally get it because John Hamm, handsome man. Um, but,
Handsome man.
but yeah, but Chevy Chase, and it's just like, well, I mean, you're handsome for a comedian, you know?
Absolutely. You got the chin butt. That's cool.
Yeah, but like the women are just falling all over themselves. Like Gina Davis finds him horribly funny. The Stanwyck's wife, played by Dana Wheeler Nicholson, she finds him very charming,
Yeah,
and
like
he just has like these obvious come-ons. Like she answers the door, she's like in a towel because she just got out of the shower, and he's like, "Oh, can I borrow your towel? Because I just hit a water buffalo with my car." It's like,
yeah.
would even in 1985 would a woman find that charming? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, because like it's like you said, there's these scenes where he goes to the country club to talk to Stanwyck's wife, and like
Yeah,
she seems like charmed by him, but even she admits it because she's a wealthy woman and she's kind of bored, but she finds
right.
something about him very charming, even though he comes across, I don't want to say creepy, but he's obviously hitting on a married woman, and like the second time they
Yeah,
meet he goes to her cabana, and yeah, she's
yeah.
like in a towel and robe, and she doesn't seem too bothered that to appear in a robes and towels rather in front of a man she
Yeah.
just met like once yesterday.
Well, I mean, in the behind the scenes material, like the actress, she's talking about that. She was like, "Well, obviously, Alan and I don't have that great of a marriage, and that's why I'm like so charmed by him." But I'm just like, it's still kind of a stretch.
Little bit.
I don't get it. I don't get the Chevy Chase sex god thing. It just when I see it in these movies, I'm just like, really? I don't see it. But
Yeah,
okay.
I mean it's National Lampoon's Vacation all over again.
Yeah, it's like I mean, Christy Brinkley, Dana Wheeler Nicholson, you've got options. I'm just saying, you don't have to settle for Chevy Chase. Like Donna Dixon in Spies Like Us, she was like all over him, and she's like married to Dan Aykroyd. So I don't,
Yeah,
I
that
don't get it.
do not understand. Like listeners, all female and male, if you can explain to us the sex appeal of a young Chevy Chase, please do. Text us, tweet us,
Or
let
Chevy
us
Chase
know.
at any age, really. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
yeah.
I want to
Let's
know.
know what's up with that.
Yeah, if you're married to Chevy Chase, call in. Let us know.
Yes, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase's wife. Please call in.
Yeah, let us
Current
know.
or ex.
Yes, I I don't think he's been divorced. I don't know how many times he might have been married. I don't.
I yeah. I just assumed. I'm
I
not even
don't.
sure.
I don't know. I know he's married. I know he has daughters. I don't really care enough to Google it at this moment. But
Wow.
um, well, I mean, are you that curious?
No.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get where you're coming from.
I mean, I'd had to
Absolutely.
open a whole other tab on the computer, and then it's a whole thing.
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Enough with that.
Oh, interesting thing that I discovered in the behind the scenes featurette on the DVD. So at the end of the movie, Fletch just fucks off to Rio with Stanwyck's wife because Tim Matheson is shot. He is shot, right? Or is he arrested? I can't remember who
Uh,
gets shot and who.
Tim Matheson. Yeah, he gets shot by the chief
By the
because
police by maker. Yeah,
yeah, because at the end, like the police chief shows up at the place where at their house, at the
right.
time that Fletch was supposed to shoot Matheson's Alan Stanwyck. But then, like, of
Right.
course, that's he finds out Alan Stanwyck was gonna kill him, burn his body, and make off with the money. But at that time, Fletch kind of pieced everything together with his, numerous trips to Utah and whatnot. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so that at the time, that's when Alan's wife showed up as she found out all these things about, like, oh, he actually has another wife in Utah. And oh, and also
Right.
I don't think we mentioned this, that like she actually uh turned, like, I think, like, she had like a bunch of stocks that she that she converted to cash to pay off for some land in Utah, but it turns out
Right.
that was a lie. And like Alan's realtor, who she gave the money to, actually gave him like a fake deed. So actually
Yeah.
Alan was taking her money and was about to fuck off to Rio with his second wife.
Right. So Fletch fucks off to Rio with her, and they said in the behind the scenes featurette, apparently they were, I guess, under budget, on time and under budget enough that they actually convinced the studio to send them to Rio for just like this brief shot at the end of the movie where they're
What?
on a beach together. Yeah, and I'm like, really? That was shot in Rio? Seriously? Why? Why did you need to go to Rio? And they were saying, like, we didn't really need to go to Rio, but we wanted to go to Rio. And they convince the studio to send them to Rio, and then they say that for days they were there, it was like rainy and overcast in Rio, and you can see in the movie, it's not what you imagine Rio to be, and it's just Chevy Chase and Dana Wheeler Nicholson walking on this deserted beach, and the skies are gray. And
Oh,
Dana Wheeler Nicholson was saying, like, yeah, it was like rainy every day, and we had to like stay around the hotel in case the weather cleared up so we could shoot on a moment's notice. And then finally, on like, I think they said like the sixth day, the studio was like, "What the hell are you doing down there? We're not getting any production reports. Shoot something and come the f back." So they just
nice.
shot Chevy Chase and Dana Wheeler Nicholson walking on a beach, and yeah, I guess you can tell from the background it's Rio, but honestly, they could have just done a stock insert shot of Rio and then just shot them on a beach in LA, and nobody would have told the difference.
I almost
So,
respect that hustle.
yeah, I mean, I'm just amazed that they did. And they said oh yeah, well, I mean, we still enjoyed being in Rio quite a bit, even though it was rainy. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, part of me kind of hates that, but part of me kind of likes that, because, like, if I was directing a film and I can finagle a free vacation out of the studio, I totally
yeah,
would.
I mean, free trip to Rio, that's not too bad of a deal. But I'm just,
Yeah,
they're saying like because like watching the movie, it didn't occur to me at all that they were actually in Rio. I was just
me
like,
neither.
oh, that's a establishing shot, and then they shot on a beach in L.A. the way you would do it. And didn't you say the budget was like 8 million or something like that? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
where are you getting the money to go to Rio? I don't get that. It's it's unbelievable to me that they actually shot that bit in Rio because it is so unnecessary.
It adds nothing to the.
It,
It's
I mean, we're talking like a 5 minute scene, if that. I mean, it's probably like 2 minutes.
yeah, but hey, if you can make it happen, God love you.
Yeah,
But it was totally
yeah.
unnecessary.
It's it's unbelievable how unnecessary it is. It is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a few unnecessary things. Like, I thought, well, there was, back to the
Mhm.
realtor in Provo. Like, so basically,
Yeah,
on one of Fletch's trips to Utah, he breaks into the realtor's office to find the
yeah,
paperwork and take pictures showing
yeah,
that, the whole thing was a fraud. But then they had this whole scene where there's like a security guard dog outside
yeah,
that Fletch had to like climb a tree and get around.
yeah,
And as Fletch is in the office taking pictures and stuff, the guard dog is barking, and at one point the guard dog is so angry and barking at him, he he launches himself through the window of
yeah.
the office and chases Fletch. I was
I
like,
don't know how you train a dog to do that. I don't know how you train a dog to go through a window for you. Um, that
yeah,
also kind of defeats the purpose of guarding the building, because now like the building's easier to break into because your dog just dove through a window.
Yeah, this dog that you have on like some super soldier serum or whatever the fuck that can
Yeah,
apparently just.
I don't know. They had to have faked that shot. I mean, I don't think you'd send a real dog even through like breakaway glass. I don't know how you train a dog to even do that for fake.
Yeah,
But
I gotta look and see if there's that no dogs were harmed in the making of this film thing at the end of this film.
yeah, I'm very curious about that now too.
Oof. But yeah, but I
Um,
mean that seems like another thing that they just threw in there because like, oh no, we got to
yeah,
keep this action paced. We gotta keep this lively. It can't just be people chitter chattering away. We got to have some dog chase and stuff. But it just, God, that seems unnecessary.
yeah,
Yeah, but I also
yeah.
I did get a kick out of seeing like as you said there was that one point where when Fletch gets back home to his apartment, the cops bust in and like arrest him, and they're like roughing him up a bit, and like I got a kick
Yeah.
out of it because one of the cops I noticed was Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Mr. James Avery. I was like, oh, look
Oh,
at that.
really?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
looked kind of familiar. I couldn't quite place him. That's
But yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's thinner, but it's definitely him. James Avery, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and of course the voice of Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some other cool character actors who pop up in this. I mean, Emmett Walsh is Dr. Dolan. He pops up in it. Richard Libertini plays Frank Walker, Fletch's editor.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Kenneth
that's who he
Warren.
was. Yeah.
Um, ooh, who am I forgetting? There's George Weiner, who's like this great character actor. He's like the ex-wife's lawyer in the trench coat.
Yes, Colonel
Um,
Sanders from Spaceballs.
yeah, exactly. He also pops up in Not Another Teen Movie and other. He's been in a million things. It's funny. He's in the behind the scenes feature. Like they couldn't talk to most of the big people. Like for some reason they couldn't get Chevy Chase to talk about the movie. So we've got Dana Wheeler Nicholson, Richard Libertini, Tim Matheson, Emmett Walsh, who was still with us then, and George Weiner, who he's like, yeah, I think I did literally half a day on Fletch. He was like, I was hoping to like extend my scene so I could get lunch, because that's your treat as an actor is to get a free meal. But no, I
Mm.
think I ate lunch at home that day.
Aw.
Like they finished the scene so early. So he's like, I was literally on the movie half a day. And I'm like, it's so nice of him to still come in for the behind the scenes featurette on the on the movie
No,
when
absolutely.
literally half a day. But it's yeah, it's funny.
But
I
no,
mean, it just kind of reminds you that like, making movies is a job, and you just got to move along with this stuff. But I just thought that was funny. It's like, oh, I didn't get a free lunch. That's a big memory.
yeah. Catering could have made him a sandwich or a hoagie or something to take home.
I mean, yeah, you'd hope that the craft services truck was there, and that yeah,
Uh,
you could have gotten some to go. I wonder if they frown on that.
I get. I don't know. Do you think so? I don't think so.
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I don't know.
hmm. Anybody in craft
Maybe they.
services listening, let us know.
Yeah, I'm very curious how that works now. But I don't know. Did you like the movie overall? I thought it was just kind of okay.
Overall, I did like it. I did. Again, I did like it because I do like Chevy Chase, like his quick talks and like his snide remarks and sort of his kind of way he thumbs his nose at authority. I do
Yeah,
find charming. Like at one point when he passes out as dressed as a doctor and he sees like them doing some autopsy, he faints and he ends up in the records room. And then the nurse is like, "Oh yeah, you fainted. You're in the records room. Can I get you anything?" And he says, "Oh yeah, do you have the Beatles White Album?" Like I don't know, stuff like that makes me smile.
yeah,
But I will admit, depending on how much you like Chevy Chase, you know will it'll kind of maybe it'll really depend on how it'll really factor in on how much you like this movie or not. Because like I said, this is
yeah,
all Chevy Chase. It's all him making all the jokes. No one else really has any jokes. No one else has any real, I don't want to say personality, but everybody just kind of seems, everybody else in the film just seems to be kind of there for him to react off of. They're like kind of like props for him to to act at, and
Yeah,
yeah, and just so he could just sort of showcase his skills. But so if you like
yeah,
that, you'll like this movie.
yeah. I mean, for me, a little Chevy goes a long, long way. So I can find him a little tough to take at feature
Mm.
length, which I suppose is why we haven't covered too many Chevy Chase movies on this podcast. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
he he can be a lot.
he can be. He can be.
um, so yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, about the optimal amount of Chevy Chase is what you get on for him in the average episode of Community.
Yes.
I like him in that. I like him in Community because, well, Community kind of knows that he can be an ass.
Yeah, and also in Community, it's like all these other people, or they have other people for him to bounce off of, and you
Yeah,
got you had Jeff Winger and Troy Barnes and Abed, like like he's more, I don't want to say tolerable, but I think he's
yeah,
better when he has somebody to bounce off of, like Three Amigos or Spies Like Us.
yeah,
Like when
yeah,
it's just him bringing the funny, it's like it's a little too much. Like like when we talked about National Lampoon's Vacation, like when it was
yeah.
just him bringing the funny, it could be a little touch and go.
Yeah, you want them to spread the wealth a little bit, and yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, there are other funny people in the. I mean, George Wendt is a funny guy. Tim Matheson, we know from Animal House, he can be a funny guy. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
not necessarily that they're playing the funniest characters, but yeah, I mean, there are other people in the movie who can be funny.
they weren't
Um,
given much to do though. That's the only
yeah,
issue.
yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of mixed on this movie at best. I remember enjoying it when I saw it as a kid. I saw it when I was like 12 because this was a SNL movie I could get in to see because it was PG at the time. It's still the early days of the PG-13 rating, so they hadn't quite figured out what should be PG-13 and what should be PG yet. Um, so yeah, yeah. I mean it's all right. I feel like the more of a Chevy Chase fan you are, the more you'll like this movie.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say that if you're a fan of the chase, this is for you. Not
You could
so
do
much.
worse than
Yes,
Fletch.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
I mean, we put out the word on the Twitters that we were doing this film. We had
mhm.
we had a few tweets about this
Yeah.
fine
Well,
film.
what the Twitter people have to say? Let's see. Let's see. Manette Moratti says, "I don't understand how this is a classic Chevy movie. When I watch it, I completely zoned out on the plot, except when Chevy was playing undercover characters, and that did give me an occasional chuckle." Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say that's a pretty good assessment of the movie, Manette. I
yeah,
don't think your radar's really off. Yeah,
yeah. I think I remember. Like, I mean, I saw this for the first time years ago.
yeah.
When I wore a younger man's clothes, and like I
Mm-hmm.
do remember.
Really could
Uh,
give that his clothes back, by the way.
I well, he knows where to find me,
Okay,
but
all right.
but yeah, like I do remember. It's funny when he dresses up as costumes and goofs on
Yeah,
people and says the snide remarks, but like the actual plot of him actually solving the mystery, like the serious stuff, like
yeah,
it kind of went over my head, and it was kind of hard to follow at some points. I was like, all right, so the land in Provo is fake, and this is like I don't know. I did kind of zone out a little bit, but like after rewatching it yesterday for this podcast, I was able to follow it a little bit more.
I. It'll be interesting because I mean I found the plot of the book much more interesting. So I kind of hope that the new John Hamm version of Confess Fletch is successful. So that I'd like to see more straight adaptations of some of the other books in the series because I think you could get good movies out of them. Particularly the second book. The second book was Confess Fletch is definitely my favorite of the ones I've read so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that.
Okay.
Um, let's see. We got another comment too. Uh, Carmel Pretz says is agreeing with Manette. Says, "Me too. I saw this movie on a third date, and he chose to show me this movie, which I remember nothing about. there were no more dates. And then says in parentheses, we remain friendly.
Oh boy, it's always it. Yeah, I mean, it's always a roll of the dice when you're just dating somebody and you want to show them like a movie that means a lot to you,
Yeah.
and like if depending on their reaction, it could be like you could soar to new heights in your relationship, or the thing can
Yeah.
just crash and burn in front of your eyes.
That's a tough thing. And you gotta roll those movies out very carefully, especially if it's a movie that, is one of your movies, one of those movies that are like, oh, if she doesn't dig this movie, I'm not into her. Um,
Yeah, like I
it sounds
remember.
like this guy badly, especially for a
Yeah,
third date movie. I don't see showing somebody Fletch on a third date and closing the deal.
yeah, no, like that's when you no like something like Fletch. You don't. I would say you kind of maybe after you've been dating like a month or two. That's when you'd be like, all right, this is who I really am. I like
I'd
Fletch.
wait. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say like 2 or 3 months maybe.
Ooh,
Um,
interesting. Okay, I'm
yeah,
trying to think. I'm trying to remember like when I showed movies to my now wife, like when we were dating.
yeah.
Like I remember, I mean, one of my
Well,
favorite
obviously
movies
you
is
chose well, so
yeah, it went well.
or at
Like
least you didn't choose so horribly that it torpedoed the relationship like it did here. I mean, I I don't know. I don't see Fletch being like uh it seems like more of a guy's movie than anything to me, right?
no, yeah, absolutely. Like I wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't subject any date to Fletch at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember like when my wife and I were going out, like I showed her one of my favorite movies is Swingers. I love Swingers, and like I showed it, and she liked it.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Okay.
all right,
Yeah,
we were
Swingers
so
is
good.
a good movie.
Yeah, but then I
Yeah.
also remember like showing her Fight Club, which is another movie I liked, and that
Oh
that didn't
yeah.
that was a
I
little
remember
rough.
when I first saw Fight Club, I saw it with like a group of people, and I ended up getting into a big debate with somebody else in the group after that. And yeah, that's not a Fight Club is not a good date movie.
Oh no, no, do not.
Yeah, I'm glad you survived that one.
Oof, we're still here.
Yeah, yay.
Yeah, but yeah, Fight Club. It's a lot for some people. Ooh, it's a
Yeah,
lot, but
that's
I love it. I thought it was fantastic.
yeah. I'm not as big into the Fight Club cult as most people, I suppose, but yeah, I think it's a good movie. It's
Yeah,
not one I'd
yeah,
break out though.
yeah. No, I mean I like it, but yeah, I know it's weird now because like if you say you like Fight Club, people think you're, maybe like a
A douche.
MAGA Snyder bro or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I like Fight Club at the same time. It's not like my Bible. Like like I don't take its teachings to heart or anything like that.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I think that speaks well of you that you did not start up your own Fight Club because I think if you
Yeah.
see the movie Fight Club and you want to start a Fight Club after that, you've kind of missed the point of Fight Club.
Yeah. Yeah, like yeah, exactly. If you watch Fight Club and you're like, I should do that. I should move into an abandoned house at the end of town and start my own
Yeah.
militia. That's
Because the movie does not go out of its way to make that seem appealing. I mean,
it,
just the house alone, yeah,
it really does. It's really weird how some people just watch something like that or Joker or Breaking
yeah,
Bad or just take away the totally opposite message from what the person who created
yeah.
that was intending. It's bonkers.
You totally missed that point.
Yeah. No, Walter
Yeah,
White was a total badass and everything he did was correct.
yeah, exactly. Skylar's just a nag, just like,
Oh.
oh, stop cooking meth. I mean, what a buzzkill.
I'm doing it for my family. Oh,
Why are you
yeah, yeah.
killing drug dealers and stuff? Come on. Oh, cramping his style.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah, Fletch, I don't know. I suppose at some point we'll tackle Fletch Lives, but I'm in no rush to see it.
me neither. Me neither. Well,
You know,
we'll
I've
cross that
gone
bridge
since
when we
1989 without seeing Fletch Lives, so I feel like I could go another decade or two without seeing it.
absolutely. I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Like, I mean, actually, Fletch I
Yeah,
thought was kind of difficult to find. Like when I mean, we rented it. I rented it from the library, but I didn't really see it
yeah,
streaming on. So I can only imagine how difficult Fletch Lives would be hard to track down.
Well, I mean, if you do like I did, I mean, I was able to get both Fletch movies packaged together, so I could have easily watched Fletch Lives if I were so
Oh,
inclined. I was like, no, you got to space out the Chevy Chase. I
space
mean,
at the
that is
chase.
if you take one lesson away from this podcast, that is my lesson: is
Yes,
space out your Chevy Chase content for God's sakes.
space at the chase.
Space out the chase. I mean,
That's
you can't have too much chase at one time
yeah.
because it's
You'll OD.
yeah you'll OD. Yeah, no,
It's right.
you don't want that.
You'll be
You
on
don't
the
want
floor.
that's a horrible way to go out.
Yeah, you'll be on the floor frothing at the mouth, just make making references to the man who knew too little. No, that's Bill Murray. Ah, damn it.
That's Bill Murray. Yeah,
Ah, ruined the joke.
yeah. Do you want to give it another shot? We could edit this out.
No, I don't.
Okay, you're just gonna lie there and
Yes, yes. That's it's the
okay.
only way I'll learn,
All right.
John.
Okay, okay. I want to give you a shot. I'm tough but fair. But
No.
wow, yeah. So Fletch, I mean, see it or don't. I guess I don't know. I think you're better off getting the book from the library. Honestly,
Yeah. Give a hoot.
check out
Read
the
a
book.
book.
People don't read enough.
Yes, the
You
written word.
read the first novel and then go move on to the second novel, and then you're all set for the John Hamm Confess Fletch movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I look forward to seeing what they do with that. That'll be interesting. I don't think we'll
Yeah, I'm
cover
think.
it because I don't think anybody from SNL on it, but
Yeah, I'll I'll give it a look. See.
yep, yep.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and
we'll see what they do with
yeah, and that's our episode, guys. Thanks for listening as always. Thanks for supporting our little podcast and la di da. As always, you can listen to us wherever every platform where you can where podcast or streaming. You can
it.
give some money to our Patreon at non-productive.com. Follow us on Twitter at SNL Nerds Show. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
And you can follow me on both of those places at Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic. And yeah, follow the show page at SNL Nerds Show. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are we doing next week, Darren? What's going on? What are we doing? We've decided on something, right?
We
Right?
did. We did. We did.
Okay.
So,
What?
folks, if you're you don't remember,
No, I remember. I'm just,
okay,
I'm just, building suspense.
gotcha. You're teeing me up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, folks, if you're a dedicated listener to this podcast, you'll remember a few years back we did Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. Then
Mm-hmm.
a little bit later we did Austin Powers The Spy Who Shagged Me. And
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of you've been wondering and waiting. When are they going to complete the trifecta? When are they going to do that third movie? A lot of you've been
Yeah.
waiting with bated breath, just
I
sleepless
think.
nights.
Yeah, I
When
think what the thing was. I think the plan was we were going to do it around when the new James Bond movie was going to come out, and
oh right,
then the new Bond movie, No Time to Die, it was delayed like 2 years because of the pandemic.
right,
And when it finally,
yes,
I think it came out at a time. It came out late last year sometime, and so I think we were in the middle of new episodes of SNL, so it didn't really work out timing wise. So
right.
that's why it took us so long. But yet now we are finally doing Austin Powers in Gold Member.
That's right. It's happening, people. Austin Powers
Yeah.
in Gold Member. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Mike Myers, Beyonce. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
numerous cameos. Fat
Yeah.
Bastard,
Yes.
and the like. It's
Scott
all
Evil.
here.
Um,
Oh, Michael Caine too,
and
right? Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Michael Caine playing Austin Powers' father, Nigel Powers. Um, yeah, having a bit of fun there. Yeah, it's always nice to see Michael Caine. I
Yeah,
don't think we've done a movie with Michael Caine before. I think I would remember that.
I don't believe we have
I
Michael
think
Caine.
Rob Lowe pops up again. There are other
Yes,
cameos.
Seth
Yeah,
Green.
Seth
Uh,
Green.
oh,
People once again.
There was that Tom Cruise cameo, if I'm not mistaken, right?
There's Tom Cruise cameo in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, Nathan
Gwyneth
Lane's in it for a
Paltrow.
bit. Yeah.
I don't remember Nathan Lane. Is Fred Savage in this one, or is that the last one? I can't remember. They all sort of blend together at this point.
Yeah.
Uh,
We'll find
we'll
out
find
on.
out.
That's right, on the next episode. How about that? Hot dog.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since I watched any of the Austin Powers movies, so it'll be kind of fun.
Yeah. Do they hold up, or are they, the level of bad as Mike Myers' most recent Netflix show that I can't remember right now, The Pentaveret?
Yeah, I haven't watched that. Have you?
No, I have not, but I hear it's not his finest hour.
Yeah, well, okay. What you gonna do?
Yeah. What you gonna do?
All right. So anyway, next week, Austin Powers in Goldmember. So, yeah, join us for that, won't you?
Won't you?
See it again for the first time.
Right. Feels like the first time.
All right. So that's what we're gonna do next week. Austin Powers in Goldmember. But until then, nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.